have a to discuss the Division 22 state standards. And I'll just kind of explain this to the students. There are a number of standards that a school district has to meet that the Oregon Department of Education overseas. And we have to say, I think it's every year, right, Jessica? We have to say every year whether or not we met all of these standards. So that's what we're doing now. We have to have a separate public meeting for that. So I will turn this over to you, Jessica, if you want to just summarize where we're at with Division 22 standards. Okay, no problem.
Sorry. Awesome.
Do you all know who Gwen Stefani is? Seeing some blank stares. Okay, makes me feel old. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Taylor Swift doesn't wear this. She's got something fancier than that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Okay.
So really a summary from what we presented in our last meeting was that from the previous year, the only area where we had a deficit was in instructional minutes, 20 minutes, I believe, at the high school. And our remedy was to adjust the bell schedule at the high school, which we have done. And so we are now in compliance, or will be in compliance.
Thank you. Any questions? Did we have anyone who came to speak about the Division 22 standards in the hearing today? Okay. No one's online. Okay, hearing none, the hearing for Division 22 is now closed. We will return to our regular meeting. And next is our students. So thank you for being here. How are we doing this today? Are we just going to entertain some questions? Do we all want to introduce ourselves? Okay, let's start. Just introduce yourself and maybe how long you've been on the board.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Weathers. I've been on the board for 3 years.
And you have 3 kids in the district? Sorry.
I have 3 kids, one graduate from Armadillo Tech, and then a middle schooler and a Talon Elementary School student.
Buenos dias, good morning. I've been on the board. Can you hear me? Oh, remind you can't hear. Very well. I've been on the board for 3 years. Yeah, I've been on the board for 3 years, and I have 3 kiddos. 2 of them have graduated from the school district, and 1 of them is in this high school. Nice to meet you all. And my name is Nancy Castillo McKennis. Thank you. I forgot who I was for a minute.
I'm Dawn Watson. I've been on the board for 10 years and I have 2 children that graduated from Phoenix High School.
Michael Campbell. I have a first grader at Orchard Hill, and you might know my wife, Mrs. Campbell, who teaches here at this school. And I've been on the board, this board for 3.5 years. And previously, when we lived in the Medford district, I served on that board for 3 years as well.
I'm Polly Fairmont. I'm working on my 3rd year. I am a graduate of Phoenix High School. I have 2 other graduates that are my daughters. What some of you out there have had Miss Fairmont, and that's my daughter. I'm really happy to see students, and it makes me so happy to be here today at this place. Thanks.
Morning, I'm Rick Nagel, and I've been on the board for 24 years. And I'm a graduate of Phoenix High School, a proud graduate. I also attended Talent High School when they had a high school over there. It's great to see you all here. Hope you ask good questions.
Hi, I'm Sarah Crawford. I've been on the school board since 2016. And we have, my husband and I we have 3 graduates from the high school. And Michael is our board chair, which is our leader, and Polly is our vice chair. And yes, I'm being very, like, this is who we are. So you have now recognized my personality trait.
We call Sarah our team mom. So yes. Very good. So do we want to start with some questions from students? We have a mic for them. Great. Jessica and Denise, please. Thank you.
My name is Jessica Hamlin, and I am an assistant superintendent of human resources, and I am sitting in today for Mr. Barry, our superintendent.
Sorry. Is this on? Thank you. I don't have a mic. I'm Denise Skinner. I am board secretary and I'm assistant to the superintendent, Mr. Barry, who's not here. I've been with the district for about 8 years and
Thank you so much. Okay. Who has a question? You want to just bring the mic to them? Yeah, great. Okay. Oh. Well, welcome.
I don't have. Never said I.
How about?
What is the biggest parts of the school you oversee? Like what exactly do you influence here?
That's a good question. Who wants to answer it?
Can I interrupt and ask you to introduce yourself and tell us what year you are here?
My name is Garrett Walker. I am a senior here. Let's go.
Somebody, I'll jump in. Number one, remember the vault policy. It's
I think of it as three things. The board's role is to set policy. We provide sort of a quasi judicial oversight of the school district, and we establish the budget. So it's our responsibility to pass the budget along with a committee of people from the public. So where the money is spent and how it's spent. And then I view the role of a board member to advocate for you, our students, and to advocate for our school district. And this board, by the way, we're all volunteers. We do not get paid. This board is very active at the state level, building relationships with state legislators. We have a firm that assists us as well during the legislative session in supporting or opposing laws that we feel are in the best interest of our school district and our students. And I'm very proud of this board's role in that. Don Watson there's an organization called the Oregon School Boards Association that is a collective of 200 districts in the state of Oregon. And Dawn is on that board. And Sarah is a member of the Legislative Policy Committee through OSBA as well. And that's a committee of people affiliated with OSBA who also advocate for public education at the state level. So that's really our role. And we have one employee, and that's Mr. Barry, the superintendent. So the board really, the role is not to run the school. That's the job of the superintendent and of your administrators. Our job is policy, that quasi judicial sort of oversight, budgeting, and advocating for you all. Good question.
Hey, I was just wondering why you guys changed the bell schedule from last year.
So this is, I'm glad you asked the question though. Thank you. That's a good example, right? The board actually does not affect, we don't set the bell schedule. That happens at, oh, is that your fault? Okay, that's Ms. Cross's fault. In a committee of people. Yeah, so that's a good example, right? Of a lot of people think we have control over something like that when really we don't. We do approve the calendar itself, so the school calendar. But a lot of things the superintendent will bring to the board and recommend. And then we might ask questions or make some recommended changes, but a lot of things like that, we actually don't have oversight.
I want to encourage you to be curious about these things and ask these questions outside of this meeting. Like, why did it change? Go find her and ask her why. And give your feedback, because I know she's open to feedback. So please be involved in those things and don't just talk amongst your friends about how horrible or how great it is. Go give feedback.
I was wondering if you could go a little bit into like the process of like getting to the position you are. Like, what's that like?
Want to stand up?
Say my name. Cielo Marlia Larson. Yeah. Who am I like as a person? Oh.
What are your deepest fears? No.
It's an existential question. He's an amazing soccer player. That's who Cielo is.
Yeah, good question. Do you want to talk about the election process?
So there's two ways to become a board member. One is through the election process. So you run for election, you go to the county offices and apply, and then you're voted in. The only thing you have to do to be elected is you have to live in the city boundaries for 6 months and be a registered voter in that city boundary. That's the only qualification you need. And if voters vote for you, you are on the school board. The second way to get on the school board is if someone resigns and there's a spot open, then you can apply to be on the school board that way. Many of the people on here have done it that way. And then when re-election comes, they get voted in by the public. Did that answer your question?
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering why you guys like charge now for entry for games.
So that's a good question and another example of something that the board doesn't have oversight on. So, yes. That would be a good question, yes, for Mr. Earhart.
What?
We can. Yeah. Hi.
Hi. What do you guys have control over since we keep asking questions that you guys don't have control?
Yes.
So.
Yes. So, did you want to say something?
Can we have them answer those questions
Please,
rather than
yes.
just like
Yeah,
skipping
yeah.
over, like, that's not ours. But I
Please,
think
can
it's a
someone
good
answer the
opportunity for them to
game
actually
question?
Answer them.
Okay, so I can answer both the bell schedule question and the game question. So the bell schedule had to be changed, as you heard, because there are standards that we have to hit, especially in high school with instructional minutes. In order for you to earn a diploma, we have to prove that not only have you earned the credits that you need to earn in order to get that diploma, but also that you've had enough seat time to really justify you earning that. That's why we're really like, hey, attendance, hey, you need to be here, those kinds of things. So we needed to shift the bell schedule. The other reason is because we have some subpopulations of students that would get really confused by our previous bell schedule. Like we would have classes periods 1 and 2 in the morning, right, one day, and then instead of going to 3, 4, we go to like 6 or 5, right? And so we have some students, mainly students with disabilities, that would show up to classes embarrassed or not know like where they were supposed to go because part of the disability was that it would impact their memory in that. So we tried to take all of those things into consideration. We had a committee. We actually had 3 students on our committee and 5 teachers that looked at several bell schedules. One of the things that you need to know is that bell schedule, if there's a perfect bell schedule, every single high school would have the same one because someone would make a lot of money by selling it. So we're just trying this as a remedy to some of those complaints that we had heard, and this is what that committee landed on. Does that answer your question a little bit better? Okay. The other reason that we charge for games is one of the only ways that we can make money in order to fund other things is by charging for those kinds of events. We don't sell a lot of stuff, right? And so sometimes we need to make extra money to afford things like sending some classes on certain field trips or promoting something that student leadership wants to promote or funding something that is maybe out of the ordinary. And so we need to be able to make some money in order to invest in those other priorities. The board and our superintendent are super supportive, and anytime that we can find other funding, like from grants and those kinds of things, we do our best to get those. But we also sometimes need to make some money in order to have nice facilities, to take some trips and do those kinds of things. Does that make sense? Perfect. That's also why we do the ASB card. So if you pay just a little bit of money, you can get into all the games for free. Shameless plug.
Good plug. So, and I think this is a good example, right, of, by the way, why we have student reps. So that, and one of the things that we're going to do today is interview and appoint our student reps for this school year. That's a great example of something where the board maybe doesn't have direct oversight, but we could certainly pass a policy. I'm not saying we should do this or will do this, but we could pass a policy that says we will not charge for any games, right? So then the question is, how do we pay for all of those things? And Ms. Cross mentioned, right? We have to find the money. If I've learned anything about being a board member, it's all about how we divide money and time. And they're often in conflict. So, yeah. Any other questions? These are great.
Out of my curiosity, is there any way for students who ask direct questions to the school board without coming into the public meetings? Like, is there some sort of email or box you can put questions in?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Yeah, we get a lot of emails. You can email the board. You can email the board and request to meet with board members. Going back to what I first said when we started the meeting, one of the things that's interesting is the board members individually do not have any power. We have power as a group. And so it gets interesting when you talk about meeting with board members. A board member can have a conversation with you and hear your perspective and share their own individual opinion on things. But one board member can't commit to getting something done without the support of a majority of the rest of the board, right? So it gets really interesting when it comes to meeting with board members or communicating with board members via email and things like that. By the way, it's all public record. So any communication we have in our function as a board member is public record. That's what. Yeah, and Denise helps us with those things too. So yeah, this board is wonderful and incredibly involved and supportive. And if you want to talk to a board member, I think our phone numbers might be listed. You can have my phone number.
We do each have we have school district email. So our first dot last name at Phoenix K-12 ORUS, we all have. And so like Michael talked a little bit, public meeting law and can happen if you email the entire board, then any response that we would give could potentially look like a conversation that happened in private and not in public. So that's why if you send something collectively to the entire board, you would just get probably a canned response from Michael because he's not going to speak for us collectively on an email. But if you emailed us individually with a specific question or a time that you wanted to get some clarification or our own viewpoint on something, then we can communicate directly, but again, like Michael said, we're not gonna commit our entire board to something. Does that make sense?
And a lot of what we do when we do get emails and phone calls from citizens is just like we did today. When you ask a question, we point them to the right people to get a resolution on their problem or question. Because a lot of times it's not something the board directly oversees. And that's because we're volunteers and we're not here every day running the school district. So, yeah. Questions? Yeah.
Another one. So I was wondering if you guys could give an example of a decision that you guys have made that like will have affected the student body like recently.
How recently? Like 6 years recently? Like new year, new school recently? Is that?
Something that like 2 years. It's something that we will have noticed.
Please.
So one of the things that the board oversees is the budget. Okay, so how dollars are allocated throughout the district is under board purview. I mean, there's a staff, right? There's a financial director, there's a staff. We're looking at all of those recommendations, but I'll say one thing, and not this budget, last year's budget, $80,000 was spent to replace all the band instruments in our district. In addition, the year before that, and maybe the year before that, we have worked to implement music education back at the elementary level to continue building those programs. So that's a overall staff recommendation that the board supported and approved in the budget that really impacts the growth of those programs and the support for the students in them.
I'd like to add a few things to that answer. CTE, like construction class was also approved by the board in the bond and the budget. And then we approved a bond a while back, and that's how we were able to take that out to the voters, and the voters voted yes, and we were able to build this high school and some other things that you may have noticed that are kind of newerish. So that is what we have done.
That's a great opportunity to mention that our state and the way the funding works for schools in our state does not provide money for facilities. The money that we are provided is for instruction. So the people who help support school, teachers, support staff, those kinds of things. But we do not get money for facilities. And so the only way to do that in this state is either through grants or, and John, our facilities director is the grant maestro. He sniffs them out as much as he can. And or passing a bond, which is where we go to the voters and say, we need this much money to do this. Will you support our students and increase your property taxes? Which is what happened, which is what built this school. It didn't really increase, thank you. But that's something that can happen. Thank you. I'm gonna get some emails after this, yeah. You told me this. So basically put it on the, so I saw on I get an email that my mail is coming. I got my tax bill in the mail is coming today. So so if you look, ask your parents to see if your parents own their home, ask them to see their tax bill from the county, and you'll see on there an itemized listing, Phoenix Town Schools, and dollar amounts associated with the bond or with just there's also amount of your property taxes that goes towards the school in general. So yeah. Good question. Let's hear from someone we haven't heard from if we can. Great.
Hello. Oh,
Hi.
my question is, how do you like choose where the money goes to? Like how you said you like 80,000 went to the band instruments, but how do you decide what money goes to where?
Very good question. I feel like I'm talking a lot. You want to answer? Okay. Yeah, just correct me if I get it wrong. Yeah. A lot of what the board does is vision and mission driven. So um, those details are not necessarily something that we'll figure out. That's why we have staff that does that. That's why we have a superintendent and a financial director and leaders of all the various departments throughout the school district. So the way that looks like as at a board level might be, hey, Mr. Barry, we want to grow our music education program, make that happen. And then he comes to us with a recommended budget that says, well, this is one way I recommend we grow it is by investing in instruments. And we say, great, we agree. Or I like this, but might I suggest this as well? So it's more sort of setting a high, we fly at a higher 30,000 foot level of saying, this is what we want. And then staff goes in, makes it happen and works out the details. Please.
We also take input from students, like these kinds of meetings that we're having now, and our student reps and public. And so for an example, a long time ago, when we had students say we want more CTE, this is before the state funded CTE, and they wanted culinary. That's how we started the culinary, and like, okay, that's a big need. I know that we've had students come in and say we need this and that. And so I think voicing also what, and letting the board know, letting your principal know what you feel is needed. And then we can see, sometimes it seems like it's unfair because you might feel like you need something for whatever your activity is, but this other activity, like band instruments, are 30 years old and your stuff is only 10 years old. So then we have to do it more fair process. But I really encourage you, if you think that there's something needed or you'd like to see money spent differently, to speak out. You can come to budget meetings, you can contact us, you can ask questions like you are now. I think that's great because this is how we form on when we do the budget.
Yeah, and thank you for clarifying that. Most of what we do is representing the voice of the people that we represent, right? So and we rely on feedback from students, from staff, from the community to make that possible. So that is why we're here.
Can you all talk a little bit more about student representatives? Because some people are very informed and some people might not be as informed. And what is the connection between student representatives, the board, and the school as a whole?
You want me to do that too? Go ahead.
So just we talk in acronyms a lot, which can sometimes be confusing. So just clarify, CTE is career technical education. So that is similar, the construction class, culinary, FFA, the health curriculum, some of those different things are pathways for students to get to careers. So career technical, welding. Okay, you guys get what I'm talking about, right? And then now I just want to clarify what CTE was.
Yeah, so it's interesting being on the board for 3.5 years. The student reps has that whole role has probably created some of the most rich discussion this board has had on any topic. And so the student reps that we appoint today will come to the board meetings. They'll give a report on what's going on in the schools. One of the things we're going to be looking for from our student rep candidates, a little heads up for you, is students who do a good job connecting with their peers. And especially peers that maybe aren't in their direct circle of friend group or on their sports team, that they're good at reaching out to the general student populace and getting a pulse of what's going on, and sharing that perspective, bringing it back to the board. One of the things that I feel like we have a big opportunity to do is to have students have a greater voice in policy. And so I'm really hungry, and I think my fellow board members are too, to get a little bit more in depth and have your voice represented. And what is one burning policy that you want to explore, seeing if we can improve or change this year, and really get your input and understanding of a particular issue. So I think that's sort of the vision. What it's been so far has been that really here's what's going on in our schools, and a great opportunity for us to ask questions of, before we make a decision, would you like to share your input on this? Because your voice matters and is important. You are why we're here, right? And so it's really important to us to have that voice and that representation. So it's not just it's a great thing to put on a resume, but it's not just that. We're looking for students who are really interested, like we represent the greater community. We're looking for our student reps to represent the student voice at Phoenix High School.
I want to say we're talking a lot about this word policy, and most of you probably don't even know what the heck that is. So on the district website, you can actually go in and see what the policies are. I don't know how many are there, Denise? Do you know the number? It's a lot, because we actually just went through every single one of them and redid them. So I would encourage you to go to the district website and look at what we're talking about in regard to policy.
And I just want to give another shout. We're looking for students not just to represent, but to elevate. We want to elevate that student voice to the next level. So not just represent, but elevate. So just to give you a visual picture of really how we want to connect with you guys.
I think the other thing that I'd like to add is that there's so many pieces. It's like a little bit of a puzzle. You have the board, you have administration, which is the superintendent, the principals, assistant principals, you have students, or you have teachers, you have students, you have families, and we all are constantly trying to figure out how we make this system, because it's a huge system, work for the best for everyone. And sometimes there's challenges, and that's why we have these policies that kind of help us stay within this framework of what we're trying to do. And it's really important to have representation from a variety group of people, so we know what is going to help our community as a whole. So it's complex, but it's also exciting, and it gives us an opportunity to consistently say, this is working really well, or these are things that we need to improve on, because we're human and we're messy, and that's really neat. And also it gives us an opportunity to recognize when we're where we could do things better. So this is great, because my hope is that we support one another, right? We hear the voices of youth, we hear the voices of community, we can have a really strong team to support that. And yeah, so I am constantly reminded of, I need a lot of grace, which means I get to extend a lot of grace for the times that things don't work out really well. And there's things that have worked really well for a long time, and there's things that could definitely be improved upon. So this is exciting. And my hope is that by you all being here, it gives you an opportunity to think about, wow, this is like kind of neat civic engagement, and that you just continue to be informed at least. Not that people need to do a lot more, because I know most people are really busy, but if you're informed, then you can make a better decision for yourself and your friends and your community and so forth. But this is exciting work. Hard work sometimes, really hard work, but also really exciting work that we get to give back to our community this way.
Yeah. Or thing that we do is we have to safeguard our assets. We have a lot of valuable buildings and equipment and so forth, and we go through an annual audit each year, and we look that over, and we make sure that the money is being spent wisely, and so I'll just add that.
Rick is a CPA, He's a certified public accountant, so he's our resident. We value his experience generally on the board, but especially when it comes to the financial piece. So it's very, very important.
Can I add something to policy? We've talked a lot about it, and I was just looking through some of the policies that we have. Some we can be pretty flexible on, like graduation exercise. We can be a little bit more flexible. I mean, obviously you have to have a diploma and qualify for it, but there's some things in graduation that we can do as a district the way we want to, but there's some things the state says we have to do. So we might get a policy that says do this, and if we don't do that, we could get fined. So yes, we get to vote on it, but if we vote no, there could be some consequences. And I think part of it is for us just to make sure that it's actually it's another procedure to make sure that we're following the state laws and making sure that we're not breaking any student rights or any laws that came from the state that we should be now following. So just because there's a policy in there and we voted yes, doesn't mean we all 100% agreed with it, but we all 100% agreed that we didn't want the fine for it.
Yes. See 2020. Yes. And I think what Ms. Cross shared too about the instructional time, that comes from a law that the state passed a few years ago that said, especially seniors, I think, have to have 990 hours, right? Or something like that of instructional time. Yeah. So we have to do that. We don't have a choice, or we're out of compliance with that law. So great example, right? I always think if you're going to serve in the state legislature, you should have had to serve on a school board first. Because some of our friends up in the Capitol are like to be honorary school board members and tell us all what to do. But that's a specific example. I was gonna talk about the COVID example, but I'm gonna save it. Yeah, let's not. Yeah, great. Any other questions? We haven't. Yeah, I think we'll do 2 more if we have 2 more.
Do you guys have any influence over the curriculum taught in classrooms, or is that all up to the teachers?
Great question. No, has that conflict. Yeah.
I was gonna say we have it's kind of, in my eyes, it's kind of like a piece of the pie. The state tells us what kind of curriculum we need. We get and we have to follow it. Then and that's something Sarah and I advocate a lot. Like, is this curriculum a good curriculum for our district to have? The state decides on curriculum. They give you a few choices. They say you need this new language arts curriculum. These are your 5 choices you can pick. We have a committee that picks the best with students and teachers, and sometimes parents, and then they pick the best one and they give it to us. So we can vote yes or no, but like if something is required that you must do, write a 5-page paper, like that's not in our hands. We get a little bit of that piece, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there are standards that the state sets that we have to meet. And so we have to have curriculum that meets those standards. So it's kind of like, I was trying to think of an analogy. It'd be like if you were in culinary class and your teacher said, you have to make a pizza. And the pizza has to be 10 inches around, and it has to have these 2 things. Those are required. Everything else, you have some flexibility, whether you want pepperoni or pineapple or both. You have a little bit of flexibility there, but at the end of the day, you have to produce a 10-inch pizza. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but that's sort of, and that's a lot of what we do is, we try to make decisions, but a lot of times it's within parameters that we have to meet within that decision. So, yeah, please.
So Tiffany Lambert is the assistant superintendent over teaching and learning, and she's not here today, but she shepherds a team that gathers all of that information from all the stakeholders in that group. So teachers, students, community members, parents, and there's some non-negotiables that we look at. Is it available in English and Spanish? Is it culturally relevant? Can you see yourself? We have a diverse school district. Can you see yourself in that curriculum? Do the illustrations have students that look like you in the curriculum so that you can see, oh, there's a future for me in this? So we're looking, are the materials available electronically? Are they easily updated? How can we get the consumables? So if there's a math workbook, can we get those easily? Are there supports for families at home to be able to plug into and say, okay, my kid's having a really hard time with this assignment. Is there a video link that I can watch? Then I can help my student. So we're looking comprehensively, really specifically, and there are some non-negotiables like English and Spanish and culturally relevant. And does it meet the standards? Oh, good. That's good that Kelly's nodding her head. I'm trying to think of the other non-negotiables that were part of that conversation. And then we weed through that list and it's pretty extensive. And so when the board is presented those, we have confidence that the team has done their work because they've presented it and they've shown us that that didn't meet our need. That's not going to get our students to where they need to be to have that diploma count for something and meet the local needs of our student body. So Tiffany and her team do a fantastic job of them presenting it in a way where we can be confident in approving it.
All right, one more question. Have the microphone. Did you have a question up here too? Okay, we'll do two more. Okay, perfect. I make no promises of that.
My name is Dom. I was gonna ask is, since you guys don't get paid, I was wondering if there's any benefits or is it strictly out of ambition? And if not, what's your guys' motivation?
We have 5 minutes.
I'm gonna chime in. The reason why I joined this board is because of the fires. I've lived here my entire life in Talent, and I saw what happened, and I wanted to be a part of that rebuilding, and that's what spurred me on. Also, Miss Fairmont made me do it, so I didn't have a choice with that. But I want to say that it's important for me to be a part of this community and show up here, and I feel passionate about that. That's why I'm here.
I joined because we have a diverse student population, but we don't have much leadership that looks like me. And in order for us to create the change that we want to see, we need to have that representation, right? Sarah talked a lot about, do we see ourselves in the book, in the curriculum, and on TV? And we need to have positive representation. Sometimes I think that minorities get negative time in a lot of different ways. And if we don't have individuals like myself, it's really hard to create something that really benefits or meets our needs. And that means like in all levels of leadership, right? Like I'm so grateful that we have Erica because she provides a very unique perspective on experiences that people like me go through. And unfortunately, sometimes people deny those experiences for us. And that denial comes from lack of awareness. So for me, it's really important to represent my community in a really healthy and positive way and to represent students. Not that I'm like a role model, but I think it's really important for me to learn and elevate that voice wherever I have that opportunity. So for me, that's that. And I also have kids and I am a contributing member of this community. And I think that my ideas and my thoughts contribute a lot and they make our world more diverse, right? I want to see people that look different than me represented at all levels, not just one individual, because that's really hard too. So that's why I'm here.
Well said. Anyone else want to? I think we all have our own individual motivations or things that drive it. One thing I could say, if I could speak for this whole board, is it's for the right reasons and it's for kids. I don't think any of us did this as a stepping stone to like run for Congress, which who would want to do that anyway? Because that's a mess over there.
And we don't get paid.
we don't get
This
paid.
is entirely
Yeah,
volunteer.
it's usually, you know, and you'll know when you can Google school board meeting or look it up on YouTube. You'll see people who aren't doing it for the right reasons. And let's get this one question, yeah, before the bell rings. Yeah, one last question here in the front. And Dom, great job at Dutch Bros. I'm sure I'll see you sometime. He knows Mrs. Campbell's order. Go ahead.
My name is Addison, and I have a question about electives. Like, if an elective like culinary needs more equipment, do you guys like, I don't know how to put it. Yeah, like how do you guys decide the budget for like electives?
It's a good question. Do you want to speak to that as a school leader? Because that would kind of funnel through you.
Sure. So, we, so the school board, allocates the budget across the district, right? So they assign each school like how much money they'll have. And then we work collaboratively to, distribute our budgets, our building budgets, right? So we kind of see the needs and we figure out like, oh, we're going to put this much money here, this much money here. And so that is really a collaborative effort between like teachers and administration. Usually teachers will say, hey, these materials are really worn. We need to purchase new ones that will cost about this much money. I'd like this product because it's this nice, right? And so then we talk about it and then we figure out if we can afford it in the budget. And if we can't, then we search out grants or we figure out a different way to allocate money in the future so that maybe we can't get it that year, but we might be able to get it the next year. Does that make sense?
Good questions, you all. Thank you so much for coming and for your engagement and great questions.
You know, Michael, I've sat through a lot of these meetings, and this is the best group of questions I've heard. So, thank you.
Good job, you all. Proud of you. We'll take a 2-minute recess. hear myself, so there we go. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So we had the student rep interviews and that whole process a little bit further down in the agenda. We have some board members who need to leave at a certain time, and so I'm going to ask that we revise the agenda a bit and start with the action item of interviewing the student reps and then appointing them. So I need a motion, yeah, to revise the agenda.
I move to revise the agenda to have student reps go first, and that's it.
Thank you, Don.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Rebecca, we'll vote.
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
I vote yes. Polly,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to start with our student reps. I'm just going to go in the order that they are in my packet here. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to report out on the assignment that you did. And then the board may have follow-up questions. In the interest of time, I'm going to ask that we allow 3 minutes for each candidate so that we have time to speak with all 8 people. Then what'll happen is the board will get together and we will rank our choices. And from that, we will appoint 3 student reps to the board. And we will do that all today. So, yeah. Yes. Okay. So first I have Raina. We'll go first. Then Garrett, then Kiki, Aubrey, Caitlin. Is it Yvonne? Evan, sorry, thank you. And by the way, names are important. We're big on names, so I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. Make sure we are pronouncing it correctly. Evan, Javier, and Addison will go last. Okay. So, Raina, please come on up. We'll get you a microphone. You've got it. Great. All right. Kaylin, yes. Okay. Got it. Right. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. My name is Raina. I'm a junior this year. Do I just talk about my? Okay, so I did my interviews on the first day of school, and what I got from most of it is that a lot of people came to school because they had sports or they had clubs, and also because it's the first day of school. But I talked to a lot of different people, and I talked to people that had sports, had band and art club, and a whole bunch of different people. And I found out that a lot of people found out about the first day of school not because of the things that the school would send to them, but because of like their friends or family. And yeah. So but so the question, what keeps you and other students at PHS engaged and coming to school every day? Couple answers. I think most of it is sports. A lot of people here do sports, but a lot of other people do like marching band, they're in the art club, they do other clubs. And also people were excited to talk to their friends again that they didn't see all summer. And people were excited to reconnect with teachers. I know I was. And also a lot of people were excited about school events like the rally that we had that Friday. A lot of people were excited for that. And yeah. Any questions? Yeah. And then I also wrote down why I want to be a school board rep. I want to be a school board rep because I feel like there's, like what Nancy said, there's not a lot of people that look like me that are like represented in the school. And I feel like we need to be more diverse on that. And yeah, and I also just, yes, it looks good on college applications, but I also just want to be the voice for the people that don't feel like they have one. So.
Well
Yeah.
said. Good job. Thank you. Did anyone have any
Next
questions?
question. I heard about it from Miss Robin because I'm an ASB officer. And I also heard about it from like some of my other friends and then an Instagram post. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Any more questions? Great job.
Okay,
Thank you for going first. All right. Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett Walker. So when I was doing my interviews, there was kind of a relaying topic through all of them. You know, when you think about school, you think about education. What's the most important part about education? Is it learning your linguistics, mathematics? I believe it's the social part of school that gets people wanting to come. What I did was my first day, or the first day, why did you come to the first day of school? And it was mixed things through results, people for sports, people for this, getting a good start, but it all related back to meeting people. And I think that is the biggest part of what keeps people coming to school. It's not just friends, it's a family here. All right, the people you meet with, it's a family. And going along with facing you know, wanting to be a board member. I get along with people. People talk to me. I understand a lot of things that I don't think on a flat level. I think broadly, unique ideas. And I think I'd be a really good part of this board member, giving unique takes or different ideas of what to do with certain aspects of it.
Can I ask who you interviewed as part of your first day of school? Like what groups did you get your feedback from?
I got 4 freshmen, 4 sophomores, 4 seniors, and 4 juniors and 3 seniors. So 4 from each grade level. Some played sports, some's band, just a diverse range, because I don't want to just do interviews of seniors because they've been here the whole time.
Garrett, what grade are you in?
I am senior. Last year, last chance to get on this. Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions for Garrett?
No, I'm ready.
I think you did a good job answering the question. Okay. Great job, Garrett. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Advisory. It was like, hey, you can sign up for school board. I want to do that.
Sweet. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. All right, Kiki. You guys are doing a great job being in order too. I'm impressed with this group. Okay.
Hi there, I'm Kiki Adams and I'm a junior at school. I chose to do my event on the open house that we had because I'm a cheerleader, so from the naked eye I could see like people coming and people that clearly weren't there. So as I was surveying, I was doing lots of people from multiple different grades, some that did sports, some that did clubs, some that just didn't do anything at all but show up to school. And I got that a lot of people didn't show up because their friends weren't coming or they just didn't hear about the event. And that was, pretty much it. And they just didn't feel the need to come because either they were a senior or they already knew all their classes and they didn't want a bunch of people to see their parents either. Because for some reason, people don't like their parents anymore. I don't know why, but
Why did you want to go?
well, I had to go personally because the whole cheer team had to go to like represent the school and to bring people in to the event and encourage people to go.
And
I was eating breakfast in the Commons and I saw the report on the big screen during the slideshow. Well, and Aubrey told me, I'll give her that credit too.
And I want to be a student board member so that I can have a voice of the school. And I just think it'd be fun, honestly, like something to do extra.
It is fun. Fun group. Very good.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
When you were interviewing the students, did they tell you what would have made them come by chance? I know that's extra. I'm just wondering if anyone
Nobody really said anything when I was interviewing. They all kind of wanted to just get the conversation over with. They didn't really want to talk about it. They were just giving me like one word answers. Like, come on. Like,
yeah.
Did you try getting their Snap or Insta to ask them? No, just
no, not that time. Maybe next time.
okay. Any other questions? This is a great group. Thank you so much, Kiki. Appreciate it. Right.
Hi, I'm Aubrey. I'm a junior. When I was when I was doing my survey, I interviewed 10 people, just because that felt like I could get the best like chances of understanding like percentages. And so I interviewed 10 people across like different activities and different grade levels, and one of them was a cheerleader, and I'm a cheerleader, so I also went to the open house, which was what my survey was on. And that was the only person out of my 10 people that went to the open house. And out of 10, 8 knew about it. So only one person or 2 people didn't go because they didn't know about it, and 8 people didn't go because they didn't want to or they were too busy. And I feel like at PHS, that's something that we can improve upon because we're a really loving and caring community and we can make things fun, and we've tried to. And the open house was really important because, you know, fostering the community of like learning, you kind of have to, like, the parents have to know the teachers and the teachers have to know parents. And so you can work together to get your kid to have the most academic success. And even kids who don't want to go on to, you know, going to college, which is something I've always really wanted to do, but like, you know, people who want to do CTEs or join a branch of military or go into acting or something like that in their future, that's something that's really important that we as a community can help people grow into. And that's one of the reasons I want to be a student board rep, is because even though I can't understand every person's perspective because I'm not every person, I am really good at listening, and I'm really good at getting in people's shoes and making sure that like they're heard. And I kind of blatant sometimes, but I that's why I'm good at this, is because I can say it in a way that other people, they just don't have the voice to do it. And I am good at reaching across all grade levels because I'm in Link Crew. So I connect with freshmen, and I just helped a bunch of freshmen with homework last night, and I connect with sophomores, and I'm on cheer, so I have all those grade levels, and I know a bunch of seniors. So it's like really important to me that as a community we get together and represent every student, even though we can't know every person's situation. Everyone has their own struggles. And I just got really excited sitting here and like listening to all you guys talk, and how Polly said it was kind of, I was sitting here and she was saying that we have these questions and we don't ask. And I was sitting at school sometimes and feeling confused about why certain things happened and what reasons they were for. And I wanted to do something about it and figure it out because a lot of people shared my frustrations. And this was a really easy way for me to employ that.
Could you figure out, so you said 8 didn't want to, was there what barrier, like what kept them from one? Did you see a common denominator that could have been addressed to overcome that barrier?
Yeah, so 8 didn't go. I think it was like 3 didn't want to, but I think it was 2 that had work, and then the other few kids, they had practices. So especially with soccer kids, the sharing of the fields, not that that's something you can really change, but practices have to be staggered till later for boys and girls to both get their practices in, and with football practicing right after school as well.
Good. Any other questions? Thank you. Very, very well done. Okay, Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Adams. I'm a sophomore. I did my interviews also on the first day of school. Of the people I interviewed, there were about 3 or 4 in each grade that I ended up interviewing. And I found that the motivations for people to come to school varied a lot. I had some people that wanted to go to school just to see their friends, some people that wanted to go because to get good grades for sports. Some people that wanted to graduate or join the military and they wanted to go to school for their future. I want to be a school board representative because my friends and I always talk about these things that we think could be improved. And I feel like this is a way that I can actually make a difference. I also understand what it's like to be in a club or sport that doesn't get recognized as much. I was in the marching band last year, and I find that it's not recognized or appreciated as much as a sport like track or football. I'm on the equestrian team as well. We don't get a lot of funding or recognition. So I want to make a point to my fellow students that no matter what their motivation is for school or no matter what activities they're involved in, that it does matter.
How did you hear about the opportunity?
I heard about it in advisory.
Any other questions? Very well done. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Hello, my name is Evan Mendoza. I'm in 10th grade. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for coming here today, not for only me, but for all the student representative advocates. I did mine on the first day of school. What I found that how people generally found out was like either through their parents, through friends, or they just checked the websites with their parents. It was generally interesting that they used that resource that they had. But and since this is a lower income school, most people are in the school are on food stamps. There is a diverse group of people, which is like everyone I asked said there was. Pretty obvious when you look around and see this diverse group. But why is it? What I found that people generally came to school for, because I asked primarily people who did not have any clubs and were in my same grade group. I asked a couple of seniors, but primarily those in my same grade group because they were the easiest to ask, is that they generally didn't know why they were coming here. I expected to be black and white answers, like I come here to learn, I come here to because my parents forced me to, I come here to see friends, but what I generally found is that many people don't know why they come here. They just come here because there's nothing else to do but come here as a kid. And that's primarily it. Thank you again for listening to all of us. I found out that it's being advertised a lot, and when I went into the main office, I saw, I was like, I want to do that. So that was pretty cool. I'm in 10th grade. Did I come to school for the first day? Because I want to learn. I want to go to college. That's one of the main reasons. So you need good grades for that.
Great job. Evan. Thank you so much. Javier. Yes.
Hello. Javier Quintana. I'm a junior here at PHS. What I chose to do mine on was the football game, the first home football game we had, not the first away one. And the reason I chose that one is because we're rebuilding, and maybe like some communities have rebuilt it more than others, but the fact is that we are still rebuilding in a lot of our programs. And I wanted to emphasize on that and see where we're at on that. And a lot of people did go because we have been working a lot since last year on our football program. And a lot of people wanted to see what we had to give, what we had, how we were competing this year. And they were excited since this is also the year of spirit, since we are rebuilding through everything. A lot of people were a lot more motivated to start off and just be in the school spirit vibe. And that's why they came to that. Many people didn't go, they were too shy or they didn't want to or they didn't truly enough care enough about that. But noticing the people that didn't go, it's it's where we can like learn to improve. And what I noticed about everyone that was engaged and willing to come to the high school is that throughout the community there's like a lot of smaller groups. And what every group had in common is that the ones that were engaged had a goal for themselves within their certain group, whether it was band, whether it was sports. But they all had like, something they wanted to accomplish during the year. So a lot of teachers will like help them accomplish that, whether it's them supervising one of their clubs or in the classroom. Everyone had a goal, and the people that weren't really involved or engaged to come to the high school, they usually had a lot of stuff going on at home, especially, or they were very like socially, like they were not social at all, so they just had a hard time talking to people. And that's what I noticed between people that were engaged and weren't engaged. And the reason I wanted to be a board member is because I've been in a couple of leadership positions in the last 2 years. It's kind of recent for me. And I've grown and I've learned a lot between that. I've had like many ups and downs through that. And I'm involved very like since last year I've been very involved more than I have been in middle school or freshman year. And I've kind of learned how to put myself in those positions where I can be friends with like many people. And I've been able to help many groups and I'm in part of leadership and I've kind of like grew to like helping others and helping the community because I saw results coming from what I was doing. So I wanted to grow on that. So that's why I wanted to be a board member. I'm a junior. My leadership teacher, Miss Robin.
Any other questions? Great job. Thank you so much. All right, and Addison.
Hi, my name's Addison, but I prefer to go by Addie. And I chose to interview people on the assembly. I will admit I kind of did it because I knew whoever I asked, I would get some kind of answer out of them, because they were forced to go. But surprisingly, when I asked them why they went, that wasn't the answers I got. I got it because they were excited to see the like the new I don't know how to put this, the new community of the school, all the new freshmen, the new students, how we set up assemblies now and all of it. They were excited about the pep rally, the games, just the whole experience. And I interviewed people that do band, clubs, sports, people who just come to come that don't do any extracurriculars. I got a lot of answers why they come to school, and it's either because they do clubs or sports. And I got some that's because they want to make memories or they want to have a good like career in the future and they want a good future and they know high school is where it starts because they need to have an education. But there were some that also did just say they come because it's the law, they come because they have to. And if they chose, they would be doing online or they'd be staying at home. And I think it's really important to find a way to make them want to come to school and make them want to have like some social, like a better social life than they would if they do online. What people said keeps them engaged is all the different types of events, and not every day is the same. Every day is different in some way, whether it's with friends or school or just what you're learning. There's no one day is just set in stone the same. It's constantly changing. I want to be a school board representative because I want to make a difference in the school. And I'm really big on community service and helping out the community. Most of my free time I spend doing community service or helping out at football games or taking photos for the yearbook. But like I figured making a way to help out in the school is through the school board, because last year I was too nervous or too scared to get into and apply for leadership for this year because I didn't think I'd make it. But my mindset has changed and I really want to make a bigger difference. And to answer your question that I know you're going to ask, I found out about the student representative opportunity by Katie. And also I went to talk to Sonia in the Future Planning Center about colleges and just my future. And she told me this would be a good place to start because I want to do something with the community in my future and help out. Any other questions? I'm a sophomore.
Any other questions? Hey, great job. Thank you so much. I just want to say, this is an impressive group of candidates and it's going to be a very difficult decision. But I want to say what I really got from this group of, I don't know how well you all know each other, but what I felt today in the room is your support for one another. And that is what a school community is all about. So thank you for modeling that and for being supportive of one another. Great job. And no matter who is appointed today, keep that up. And thank you for that. Okay, we are gonna go and tally up our scores, if you will, and we'll be back. Yes. Well, thank you. I just want to say, as I said before, this is a very impressive group of students. You all really took the assignment seriously, and took an opportunity to engage with your peers. And I am so proud, and all of us are so proud of all of you. We would love to appoint everyone to be student reps. Really, it comes down to logistics. We don't have room for 8 of you in the spaces that we meet in at every board meeting. And so fortunately, we do have to limit it. For the past few years, we've had 3. We were so impressed with each of you that we've decided to appoint 4 student reps to the board this year. So I just want to say that out front. I also want to say that we've asked Ms. Cross to, those of you who aren't appointed today, you have a lot to offer this school, and our hope is that you'll continue to be engaged. She's committed to us that she'll meet with you individually to talk through those options for you, because this is just one avenue to be involved in school. And so if you are not chosen today, I hope that you'll continue to be the leader in this school that you are. So
Can I just chime in?
yes,
That
please.
some people have come back again another year to go for this, and I would encourage you, if you didn't make it, please come back and don't be heartbroken about that, because we love you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Dawn came back.
The first time I came, I said we could apply to be on the board, and I was chosen not to be on the board by my fellow board members, which barely any of them are here. And so I had to go out and do it again. So, and now I've been here for 10 years and they're stuck with me.
Oh, yeah, how'd that work out for them, right? No, just kidding. Okay.
Now we nominate her for every committee that's available.
All right. And with that, we are excited to announce that our 4 appointees as student reps this year are Aubrey, Garrett, Reina, and Javier. Congratulations to those 4, and congratulations to all of you for being leaders in the school and being engaged and involved. We appreciate you. So thank you so much for coming here today. You are excused to go to class. So I really appreciate your participation this morning. And I think Denise will be following up with those of you who are appointed, and we'll discuss the next steps. So thank you so much. Yes. Okay, we have a great day. Have a good day. Okay, we're severely behind. The questions, I mean, I didn't want to cut that short. That's why we're here, right? So I will say we'll probably be making some decisions today to push back some things we had on the agenda to the next board meeting, things that we can do that. So the next item is accentuate the positive. I'm not going to make everyone speak, but if you have something burning that you wanted to share with the board, please do. Otherwise, we have something for you. So does anyone have anything? Okay, please. Yeah, I want to make space and time. Appreciate everyone.
Just very briefly, I wanted to say we had our first Latino family night last night at Talent Middle School. It was a great turnout. We had 37 families attend the event. It just was a really, really positive event. And I just want to thank these folks, staff members who put it together: Felipe Reyes, Myra Gutierrez, Deanna Martinez, Jessica Morga, Yesenia Solorzano, Liz Fletcher, Bree Bates, Peter Edwards, and our community partners from La Clinica and SOU for all their efforts for making such a well-organized and engaging event. It felt really, really good to have folks there, and I just wanted to recognize those staff members for doing a great job.
Thank you.
I do want to recognize some hawks that are doing marvelous work, and I will say honestly difficult work. I know that elementary-wide, district-wide, we're working on achievement scores. We have a second and third grade student body that they need a lot of help with their social and emotional learning. And I want to thank Erica Casarati, Jen Dotson, Melanie Sprague, Michelle Geisler, Jenny Weaver, and Kat Paris, because they're doing a lot of hard work and exhibiting a lot of patience in the face of some challenging days. So I just want to acknowledge them publicly.
Thank you, Kent. Any others? Yes, yes, that would be great for the
please.
record, because I know we like to honor staff and students, and yes, thank you. That would be wonderful.
I'm going to speak up before I have to leave. I have the opportunity to meet my CEO of my company that I just joined 5 weeks ago, so I'm going to go see that. This is Principal Month. Recognize your people who are in the trench month. And we have something we're working on for you, and we will get to you. And I want to say that we appreciate you and all the hours that you give to our district. And you are seen and you are appreciated so very much.
We are not worthy. Thank you. Thank you all for everything that you do. We really appreciate our administrators. And I think I've had discussions with some of you, solid middle managers, right? You guys rock the middle management game. Yes, they do. It's the most important level of management, by the way, middle management. Okay. Thank you all so much. Citizens' comments. Do we have anyone online? Okay, we did receive 2 written comments, and those will be entered into the record. I'm not going to read them out loud. Superintendent report. Did you have a superintendent report? We thank you for that. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Okay, any objections? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. Action items we already did. Recess we're not doing. Okay, information and discussion. Facilities and bond update. He left. Okay. Okay, no problem.
Oh,
Jessica's got
well,
something.
he
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to say, one of the things he wanted to say was about the Great American Shakeout and that
Okay.
everybody's participating.
Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna be here then. Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. And then legislative OSBA update. We want to share anything or?
Nope, I say
Okay.
we'll email you any information
Yeah.
you need.
We did
Okay.
meet with Representative McLean. She came to our school and that was a
Yes.
really great meeting with her. And so we want to thank her for
Awesome.
coming. But yes,
Okay.
table.
Good. And then Culver Road Master Plan.
Table.
Okay, we will table it. Yeah, that's gonna be a big discussion. I'd like to have John here for that too. So that makes sense. Yep, okay. It is so tabled. And then the agenda for the draft agenda for the next meeting is up. That will change because we'll need to add the Culver. Well, it's on as an action item. So and that's fine. We can do that either way as a information discussion or an action item. So okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. And great job, Kaylin.